Right. So as part of API integration, we know like we are using Postman API, one of the API integration for that. Generally, we will be using Postman API. In that regard, so this is how Postman API usually, right? So wherein we can create a project over here, right? So even whatever I've just created a sample account, right? So under the Guidewire billing team and all, right? So I've just created this a long back, right? So not in recent times, but so here, whatever the request that we wants to add, right? So if you want to add any kind of request to start with working on API, so this is how generally we have to do it. So we can add request here. At the same time, if you want to create any kind of environments, we can create even that. At the same time, any kind of workflows or any kind of flow process, any kind of flow processes that we wants to generate. Okay, so if you want to create any kind of flows to visualize any kind of testing, at the same time, if you want to automate any kind of API workflows, so these creation of these workflows, etc., everything we have to create. So this is how generally this creation of workflows, etc., everything will be used for. Along with that, even environment, as I told you, right? So we can create our own environment uh, for the mm, requirement or the integration that we are doing. And whatever the history of the project, everything that we can see over here. This is where generally the history, etc., everything we will be seeing on. This is Postman API where we can add the team members. Here you can see, right? So we can add the team members because integration from one system to another system to conserve the data. So for that, we need to add the integration part and we need to extract the information in regard to that. So in the process of understanding, it's important for us to uh, upgrade and as well as add the team members so that multiple depends on the kind of role that those people are playing in. So we need to add different team members and all right. So here we can create a new team. So you can provide your team. Right. I've just given as GW billing team. Just given some name, right? So team name I have given. Team name I have given, which is the team name, right? So what will be your team primarily work on, right? So this we need to, right? So we have to identify, share, and test existing APIs. Means RESTful APIs we are using now. At the same time, what team generally do, right? So primarily, we do the integration, especially using RESTful API. We have different methods. First of all, we must be knowing about what are the different methods are there in RESTful API. Because before getting to that, as far as the Postman API, let me give you an understanding over what are the different APIs we have. Right. The first one about SOAP API. Right. Let me write down here. When it comes to the APIs are concerned, the first one is called SOAP API. The second is RESTful API, right? So these are the two different APIs that you will be finding. One is about SOAP API and second about RESTful API. SOAP API nothing but a simple object access protocol, which is basically a messaging protocol specification for any exchanging any kind of structured information, right? So when we are implementing any web services, because web services we have all these like so UDDI, WSDL earlier and earlier WSDL and all everything in earlier days, but now and then we are using SOAP API web services. When we are doing it, so we use this XML because we have two different file formats now and then. One is on XML and second is JSON. XML, which a messaging format exclusively to rely on the format contracts, and at the same time, WSDL for web services description language, majorly used to define what are the available operations we have, what are the different data types we have. Because some people, because SOAP is more of secure when you are comparing to the RESTful. But RESTful is a lightweight API. That is the major fundamental difference you'll be finding. And other difference is that SOAP is SOAP doesn't have any kind of methods. But whereas when it comes to the RESTful API is concerned, RESTful API has methods like get method and all, right. So you can get the data from external source, right. So you can you can put method, right. So you can patch method. There can be methods can be used. But when we try to know about this, when you try to understand about the key characteristics, especially on the SOAP part, as I'm repeating, SOAP basically a protocol-based API, which majorly defines the rules, which are more flexible in terms of the architectural style of REST when you are comparing to the RESTful API. Next, when we are working on the Postman API, SOAP API, what are the messages that we are going to format, which will be as XML documents, which encapsulated within the standardizations like envelope or any kind of headers, right? So all these things. And when in the part of SOAP, when we see WSDL, which majorly a machine readable ones, this is because this is generally act as a blueprint or a contract, majorly allows development tools automatically to generate any necessary code or something, right. So at the same time, it has its own built-in standards also. These are all the different uh, key characteristics, whatever you see, right. So what are the key characteristics that you see under SOAP API will be there. And commonly SOAP we can use for every organization. Even financial services companies can also use SOAP API because they want to secure their bank transfers. At the same time, what are the transaction process they were following? They want to secure everything. So for that, financial services are using this. Along with that, healthcare and government organizations can be used to meet their compliance requirements so that they can ensure the data validations and all. And next, many people who are working on the legacy enterprise systems, because many older as well as internal systems, old legacy mainframe based applications we are using. So using this SOAP API, this is a standard, right? So we're going to continue and use it for any internal communication on SOAP are being used. So these are something we try to understand the SOAP API, because SOAP API is for a very long time we are using. This is not something that we are doing it from recent times. This we are using for a very long time. Now, when it comes to the RESTful API, because this API majorly designed to design the principles of the representational state transfer, which is the full form of REST, I'm saying, representational state transfer, right? So this is the abbreviation for that, TTLE. So a kind of architectural style, majorly used to connect any kind of distributed hypermedia systems. Make us what are the RESTful APIs that we are using, majorly categorized into different things, right? So there are different methods that we must be knowing. So first one about get method. Second is called post method. Third is called put method, and next is called delete method, right? So these are the different methods we have. So because XML, you don't find these methods to do it, because it's a, as I mentioned, which is highly secure and protocol based. So first. But whereas RESTful API is not that. RESTful API has different methods like get method. We need to retrieve the data. Get method is being used. Post method is to create the data, and put method is something that we are using to update the data. At the same time, if you want to delete the data and if you want to remove the data and all, that delete method are being used. So these are the uh, major methods that you will be finding when we are working on the RESTful API in regular intervals and all that. But when try to understand about the core basic principles of RESTful API, because many even Guidewire projects now and then, it's not matter of Guidewire project, but any integrations now and then we are working on integration based applications, integration based requirements that we are having. So we were using RESTful API only. Example I've just taken a Guidewire billing system, or it can be claims or billing. I've just given some example, some name I've taken. So for any integration, because for example, Guidewire billing team wants to access the policy data, right? So they wants to access the policy data based on the confirmation given by the policy customer. When we have given the quotation, customer has binded it. So once we bind it based on the acceptance of the customer, that application can be shared by the uh, shared by the billing team. So that we have to create invoice, we have to create what should be the payment options, right? So what is the payment structure plans, everything that we need to design. So that we have to create an account being a billing team. So if you want to perform all these, what is important? It is important for us to create if you want to it's important for us to have integration between two different systems. For that reason, generally this RESTful API that we are using, right? So for that reason we are using this RESTful API. But there are some core principles that we use here. The first one about the client server, because whatever the front end this thing, like whether the client systems and all, whatever the back end systems and all, everything were decoupled. At the same time, whatever the stateless request we have like each API's calls can contain all the information which needs to be completed the request. At the same time, whatever the responses that can include in cache directives to improve any performances, etc. Cache friendly. At the same time, it's a layer designed approach also. These are the major key principles and core principles that we can see it in RESTful API. The best example, uh, a simple get example, right? So get request, etc. Right? So if you want to get any information from any external sources, so get method can be used, right? So post method to post the data, put method for put the information, and if you want to delete any information, delete we can use, right? So these are the different methods that we can use it whenever we are working on RESTful API. So these we can do, coming to the point, these we can do using this Postman API. This Postman API is majorly for API purpose, API integration and all that. So even API testing can be done using API Postman API as well. So for that, I've just created an account, right? So here, coming back to the point, what will you do? The team will work performing, share and test existing API together. Because API testing, for that we are using this integration, and when we want to work on API testing, this Postman we can use it. Share and test existing APIs together. That is what something our team wants to do it. And next, design and APIs together. Design and build APIs together. That is one more. Let me just give it right. So design and build new APIs together means if you want to build any new API, because we need to select an option. Are we going for testing, or we want to design a new build APIs together? Anyone we have to select, because what our team wants to do. Because is it the team that we are using this to test the existing APIs, or if you want to design or build a new API? Because first of its kind we are working on now. So we want to build a new API. That is important. Once the API has been built, testing will comes next. So designing and as well as building new APIs together is something that we have to perform it first. So team name I have given. At the same time, team wants to design and build new APIs. That is what they wants to do. At the same time, if you want to build any central space for API documentation, we can use it, or for other purpose. But generally, I am using designing and building new APIs together is something that our team wants to perform. So the reason why I'm just using this option, right? So for this purpose, our team related for this, okay? That's right. So you need to add email addresses, etc. Just adding some email address. right? So this is a mail address I already taken, but that is what I've just taken the same mail address over there, because the same mail address we have already uh, taken already to register this. I have used it. Yeah, right. So the team has created. Here you can see the team has created. So we have created a team, and if you want to add any team members here, right? So here you can see the internal workspace created by me for a few seconds back, right? So at the same time, whatever the workspace ID, whatever the work that we do, everything will be updated in the workspace ID here. So in this workspace ID, if you want to create new or if you want to import, right? So import the files from any kind of internal systems that we wants to be, right? So we can go it. Or else if you want to create a new application or new requirements and all, everything that we can go for new files, etc. Everything that we can do it. Or else if you want to import any files or if you want to move instead sending any kind of API request and all right. So, or if you want to add any inviting team members, manage team members, everything that we can do. Next, these are all the additional API development workflow. That is even important because if you want to install any extensions for, because Postman API, if you want to generate, so wherein you need to have a code. So code we develop different IDEs we'll be using. Eclipse we use my Eclipse VS Code, right? Visual Studio codes we have, right? So if you want to design and develop and test APIs and all that, we need to have some ADI, right? So editors that we require, uh, like IntelliJ IDE, all that, right? So that those are always required. So if you want any installation of new extensions, or if you want to create any environment for testing purpose, this is all for the testing environment. Because for both things I am explaining, because those people whoever uh, who wants to do for integration by how this can be created and all RESTful API. For that, it is even people who wants to perform API testing using Postman API, right? So two things, right? So we need to create, if you want to create an environment for testing, we can create an environment. Or else if you want to install any extensions for Postman to use from any kind of Visual Studio Code and all, we can add in extensions and we can install extensions and we can use it further. And there is no environment as such, so we have to create an environment for that. If you want to create any um, environment to perform this API integrations, etc., or else for the testing in future, so we have to create an environments. These can be discussed in coming days.